wherever you are in your life, whatever positions you have, whatever influence you have, God put you there, and he put you there for a reason. In Esther chapter 3, Xerxes promotes a guy named Haman. He's an Agagite. And Haman becomes like second in charge of the kingdom. Well, Agag, he descended from Agag, was a king that was supposed to have been killed. God said, kill this guy. And Saul says, I'm going to spare him. I'm really gregarious and I'm nice. And what happened was he had these kids and they had kids and kids. So they were enemies of the Jewish people. And so Mordecai is sitting in the city gates. He's a leader in the city. And when this high official comes by, he doesn't bow down. Everyone else bows down to him. That's what you're supposed to do. He's like, no self-respecting Jew would bow down to an Agagite. Well, Haman didn't like it even a little bit. In fact, he doesn't want to just kill Mordecai. He wants to kill every Jew ever. And so he goes to the king and he says, there's a few people, there's just a few Jews. And these Jews, there's not very many of them, very, very, very small number of them, but they don't obey our laws. And it just bothers me because, king, you make these laws. And king, your laws are just so smart. And they don't obey the laws because they obey their God, Jehovah. And so if we killed them all, we would just really spare the world from this plague of Jewish people. And so he really undersells how many there are. He really lies about the fact they're not obeying the laws. In fact, Mordecai had saved his life a chapter ago, the king's life. He was serving the king. So he lies to the king, and the king says, sure, okay, why don't you kill those few? And they make a decree that all these Jews are going to die, including the kids. And this is the history of the Jewish people, isn't it? That they're always being exterminated or trying to be exterminated. So when the decree is signed, you can't change a law of the Medes and the Persians. That's the one thing about it. Even the king who signs the law can't change it. And so everyone's distressed. They know they're going to die. They're upset. And Mordecai goes and talks to Esther. And he says, Esther, you got to go talk to the king. You got to get this changed. And she says, man, I would love to. But the problem is, unless the king calls you in to his presence and you just walk in, you get killed. Unless he puts the scepter out there. But you just don't do that. And I haven't been called in for 30 days. That's how great it was to be the queen, And Mordecai says, oh, okay, so you're concerned about dying. Okay, well, a couple things here, he says. Number one, God put you in your position for a reason. God made you queen and made you beautiful, not so that you'd got all kinds of nice dainties and good food and everything. He put you there to save the Jewish people. Number two, Esther, dear, you think that God's going to spare you from this? They're going to find out you're Jewish, and you and your father's house, they're all going to die. So don't think that you're immune to this. Number three, Esther, regardless of your decision, I have great news for you. God is going to spare his people. That's the good news, but not you. See, if God doesn't use you to spare the people, you're going down. So you better pray that you get used by God. This is a tough talk from a guy who raised her. What does this tell us? This tells us that God put us in positions of authority or whatever we're doing, influence over people. And if God doesn't use you to save people and to do his will, he'll get his work done. But don't think it's going to go well for you if he's not using you. If you say, well, I'm just going to take this influence and this power for all myself. Don't think that God's going to bless you. And that's what he says to Esther. And so Esther says, I've made a decision. I'm going to go talk to the king, whether he calls me or not. But I want you to pray for me and have him throw a big fast. And he said, well, we'll fast for you. And her last words are, if I die, I die. God put you where you are to use you. He didn't give you rights and privileges and any kind of power you have in order that you can just use it on yourself. He puts you in a position to use you. So serve God where you are today. Find ways that you can step out for the Lord. He wants to use you, and He put you right where you're going today for such a time as this.